you mentioned the vaccine. Now I want to talk about the vaccine timeline. So we've got a situation in which Dr. Redfield testifies and says, look, I'm thinking in terms of the logistics, in terms of phase 3 trials, approval of the FDA, and then getting it into the population. We're looking at second or third quarter of next year. Mark Meadows, the president says he's mistaken. Mark Meadows comes out and says, we're thinking 100 million doses maybe by the election. What should we believe? Like, that timeline, according to the virologists and epidemiologists I've talked to, is not realistic. What do you think?
Well, what I think is what the facts are, and I've gotten the facts about, and I don't think there's that much if you make sure you're clear in how you explain it, in the difference between what the president said and what Bob Redfield was trying to say. Right now, regardless of when a vaccine gets approved officially or in EUA, numbers of doses of vaccines from multiple companies are being produced and are available. And when you look at the availability of the doses, and I think here's where the misunderstanding is, Chris, what the president was saying is that, remember, first of all, we all have to realize that we don't know when and if there's going to be an approved vaccine. I'm cautiously optimistic that there will be. The time frame of when you get enough data for the FDA to, with confidence, say that it's effective and safe, I had projected would likely be more likely November, December. It could possibly be October. Absolutely a possibility of that. Let's say it is. There will be doses available in the end of November, the beginning of December, into January and February, where if, in fact, you want to vaccinate people, which we can and we will, you can start vaccinating people in December, in January and February with a considerable number of doses. You want to prioritize. You want to get the people who would benefit most and who need it the most, like healthcare workers, like those with underlying conditions, like those with the elderly. So technically speaking, and theoretically, the president is correct. There will be enough doses in the first quarter that if you vaccinated everybody, you would be able to do that. What Bob Redfield was saying was not necessarily incompatible with that. What he was saying is that what we know about what happens when you roll out vaccines, that people often hesitate. Right. And even though the vaccines are there to be able to administer, people may say, well, I want to wait until a number of millions of people get vaccinated before I decide I want to. What that means from a practical standpoint is that when we talk about when do we have enough of America vaccinated that we can start to feel we're going to get back to some form of normality, that very likely will be, as Dr. Redfield said, somewhere in the third and early part of the fourth quarter of 2021. So they were really both correct, Chris, in many respects. There wasn't that much difference in what they were saying.
When you talk about the reticence, though, and I should know that Meadows seems to think by November that you could have 100 million doses. You're saying quarter Q1, which there's a little bit of difference there. But you're going to be...
Yeah, but by
Go ahead.
But by November, I have the numbers here. By November, there likely will be something like 50 million doses available in November. And then when you get December, it gets more and more and more and more.
Here's the key question to me, right? You and I both know that there is already this sort of ambient anti-vax, sentiment, right, that's around. Combine that with the fact that polling indicates that people don't have a lot of trust in the pronouncements of the president on the coronavirus, and we've seen the number of people saying that they are going to take the vaccine declining. You're going to play a crucial role. I mean, people that are watching this program right now, people have said to me, like, I'll take it if Anthony Fauci tells me it's safe. And so the question to you is, do you assure all of us that if the corners have been cut, if there is something sideways or wrong with the process, that you will tell us and take the heat for that?
Yes. The answer, Chris, is yes. There are multiple fail-safe measures that are going to be pretty transparent. And let me just take a quick moment to explain that.
Yeah.
There's what's called the Data and Safety Monitoring Board associated with the vaccine trial, an independent group beholden to no one, not to the government, not to the FDA, not to the drug company, not to me. They will look at the data, they will analyze it, and they will determine, is there statistically enough information there to say that it is effective? And then, obviously, the safety issues come up when you get an adverse event. Once that information becomes available, the company will go to the FDA and say, we would like to either apply for an application for a vaccine license or do an emergency use authorization. The FDA will make the judgment as to whether or not, according to their criteria, that it's worth doing that. And there will be advisory bodies, and there will be people like me, like the director of the NIH, who'll be looking at that. And I can tell you that there will be a degree of transparency. Now, obviously, there's a lot of talk about political pressure, but the one thing we need to rely on, the FDA has made it very clear explicitly that they will not be influenced by political considerations. We at the NIH and the scientific community are very adamant about that. So if, in fact, it looks like that vaccine is safe and effective, I can tell the American public that I will take the vaccine when it's available to me, and I will recommend to my family that they take it.